Houses will look to become Asia's very best today.
At one stage, the friendliest of neighbours, mutual respect, and that continues till today. But today, India and Sri Lanka, two of the most successful sides in the history of this competition, want to further announce their domination, try and capture Asia before they get set to take on the world. And who will get their hands on this trophy? It will be a team in blue. And that's the only prediction that I am rolling out here. But with Dominic Cook, Mayanti, Sanjay Manjareka, let's get a few more predictions in from these gentlemen. This glittering trophy, just before you get ready, Sanjay, to take on the world, to fight for global dominance, Asian pride at stake here. Did you mention that it would be these two teams fighting it out on the final day?
No, I got that one wrong, along with many other things.
To finals, I mean, it's a fact.
So basically, it's saying Sri Lanka will win this final because of the way they have come to the finals.
Yep.
So Marvin beating around the bush, long story and all that, very cunning.
I was just trying to be nice, Sanjay.
And also, I think your question was, do you need luck? Absolutely, do you need luck in all forms of the game, in all team?
You've got to define your own destiny at some point. Fan Pulse, what do all of you seem to think? It's a simple answer, as it should be in a final. Who do you think is walking away with this trophy? Who's taking this trophy home? Here is what you say. 82% say India. Sanjay, does that mean pressure on the men in blue?
No, not really. I mean, it's a strong team, most likely team to win if you apply the superior side, and should win the final. They'll be disappointed if they don't. I don't think they'll feel the pressure of this final. Maybe World Cup semi-finals and finals, yes, that could come into play. It's a team that has been in good form, good recent form. All the important players, are looking good. They've had recent success. So I don't see them feeling the pressure of just being a good team.
Well, you know what? It's gone up to 31% now for Sri Lanka. So you have to relish the big occasion. The world is watching you. You have to perform in this Colosseum of Dreams. We expect that for both teams today as they fight for Asian pride. Let's find out what's on the show. We've enjoyed all the moments of culture here in Colombo. We've enjoyed the crowds that have coming into the stadium. You could see the anticipation. It's Sunday. Saw a lot of blue shirts. You saw the Sri Lankan lion dominate. And even though Sri Lanka have often supported India, not today. Today the battle lines are drawn because you're fighting for this. Both teams have had injuries. Mahesh Tikshana is out. Aksar Patel, Washington Sundar has been called in. Question is Washington Sundar, because you've had a look at the pitch, go straight into that 11 for a final?
This pitch now...
When opportunities have been thrown your way for players across nations, they have taken it. There is a lovely history between these two nations as we walk into this Asia Cup final. They are by far the most successful sides in the history of the competition as well, with some memorable encounters. Experienced customers that you would be supporting. You look at the history between these two nations. Even now, a young Sri Lankan side, in a sense, the young bowlers bowled out India by spin. That's the first time it's happened in one-day history. But 2004, since we've got the man of that moment, what do you remember from the 2004 encounter from the final?
Apart from me captaining?
I mean, you were captain. We gotta have to mention that.
I remember that to be a very win, and I think that was it.
Didn't you get man of the match for that as well, Marvin? You kind of played that down a little bit right now.
Yes, but I don't think we should talk about it when somebody's strike rate is about 60.
Things change. But I mean, a lovely history. Obviously, the most memorable for us is 2011. That World Cup final. Because again, there's no animosity between these two. There's always been a lot of love here. But that also was a great contest that had its ebbs and flows. And that too at a World Cup final stage.
Absolutely, because you thought, the way Thisara Pereira came and played that cameo, that maybe Sri Lanka before that final, they had become a very good chasing team. And that was India's problem before that, where we were good at setting targets, but chased down, well, not too many. There used to be a little bit of anxiety, but Yuvraj, Mahendra Singh Dhoni, Suresh Raina, all these guys down the order found ways to, win in a run chase. And that run chase, you can imagine the pressure on India chasing that score down. And thankfully we had the players with the skill.
It's incredible, these little moments, those facets, those moments in the game that actually help you win and get you that trophy. It sometimes just comes down to those moments. What could be a moment, or rather a key battle today between these two units, Koki?
Well, the key battle I think we'll see is who plays the spin better. We bowled well and then we went to get that target. So the key matchups to me is who plays the spin better out of both teams and who comes on top. I think goes and wins that cup right beside you.
Who's likely to replace Shana, you think?
I reckon the leg spinner who's in the squad already. Because now with Tikshana not being there, I think Dasun uses him as the third seamer, which means he can burst 5-6 overs, 5 overs in the first 10.
Yeah, that's the issue.
Probably the left-arm spinner. I mean,
and Hemanta's been in the side. So
he's been in the side. He's had 2 catches in pressure situations for Sri Lanka. One here and one, I think, in Lahore. So I think he's the man at the moment for Sri Lanka to replace Tikshana.
And I think when you think there's no Tikshana with that new ball, I think a little bit more, I hate saying it because he's only 20 years old, a little bit more pressure, he's a key, but also to Tikshana to help out that loss of losing him in the Sri Lanka side.
But fair enough, because pressure creates diamonds, and you want to be in a situation where you come to the plate where you can...
Mayanti.
That's my A game. It's a final today, Sanjay. Speaking of A games, you've seen absolutely domination from top order. You've seen the middle order machinery. You've seen lower order resistance throughout this Asia Cup. The batters who blew us away.
Another 100.
So much about this format, that too ahead of a World Cup, and we've been watching these batters in action, is about the template, about absorbing the pressure, about running, creating those singles, those doubles. We've learned so much heading into a World Cup, but we've isolated these knocks. Koki, which one did you enjoy the most?
Probably KL Rahul, because of a lot of reasons, coming back from injury. We've had countless numbers of occasions where we've been asked to choose between Ishan Kishan and KL Rahul, who makes that Indian World Cup side. But the way he just came out, his calmness in the side. But KL Rahul, to me, is a class player and has to play every time he's fit.
Sanjay, we're always making you pick. Life is all about choices.
Yes. Shubman Gill for me.
Okay.
I mean, all these are brilliant hundreds. Love the Virat Kohli 100 as well. But tough pitch and bit of pressure with wickets for play, because it looked like he was trying to win it single-handedly.
Yeah, and Fan Pulse, of course, take part in that as well. Log on and see which one is your favourite knock. Marvin, what about you? I mean, a lot of quality in what we've seen, different situations as well from these knocks.
I will have to go with Koki.
Yeah?
KL. Simply because, as he said, they have taken all my words now. I'm just going to repeat it and saying...
And also, just quickly, the fact that he's gone straight from in Bangalore, just working
6 months, Koki, out of action for 6 months.
Coming onto this outfield to play on here, which is heavy. Let me just tell you, even how fit you are, the amount of moisture to keep wicket, to get 100, that's why I just think that was a magnificent effort. And whoever he's worked with, congratulations to them as well, because he looks fit.
Oh, it's really been a lot of brilliance, hasn't it? Where the bat has dominated, but on wickets like this, which have turned, and you saw it's the spinners who've come to those party in those middle overs, especially some of the best, most incisive spells that we've seen. I mean, it's quite a lot. Kuldeep's resurgence, Welalage's emergence, Shaheen's persistence. I mean, there's a lot for you as well to pick from in Fan Pulse. What about you, Sanjay? What did you enjoy the most? Or rather, which spell did you enjoy the most?
Yeah, again, all terrific spells, all sort of match-winning spells, game-changing spells. I'll pick Kuldeep Yadav because it came in that big match, India-Pakistan, and also a spinner getting 5.
I think those 5 wickets against India, taking all top 5 batsmen is no joke by any means.
Smith, I mean, you've got a lot. You've got Babar, and you can see that obviously the Fan Pulse battle is between these two gentlemen as well. So I guess Koki will settle it.
This is really hard for me because I want to go Shaheen Shah Afridi because I love the way.
I would expect that, right?
And I want to go, I don't even know, but Bumrah back for India, and the fact that he gets swing. I can't. I have to go Welalague. I have to go I have to, because of the fact of what he did in that game. Shubman Gill, Rohit Sharma, youngsters of every team, that opportunity to get to the highest level ahead of a World Cup, and this is really good grounding for him today. He turns up today and bowls like he's done today. and then all of a sudden, we've not just got an emerging star, we've got a superstar.
And he can bat too. So,
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot going for him. Well, by far one of the standout performers so far, ahead of the big final where teams will be looking to get their hands on this trophy. We can imagine so many memories will be created today. But till this moment, let's have a look at the best moments. It has to be one of the most heartening moments that we've seen. It brings out the humanity, the empathy, but now it's a battle. It's time for the final battle. That's what we've been waiting for. So we've got super fans joining the game in the form of Tamanya Bhatia, and her Aakhri Sach is streaming now on Disney+. Tamanna joins the game. Certain permutations, combinations, ups, downs, but essentially we're all well aware of the fact that this is Asia Cup where you're fighting for your trophy is the perfect starter in a sense because you're going straight into a World Cup like this. So there's already pressure when you step onto the field. We know that Washington Sundar has come in, Akshar Patel not there, those sort of conversations. So heading into the World Cup as well, playing a final today, what do you want to see from this unit?
Well, I mean, play the way they have played, but it's a very good like-for-like replacement in Washington Sundar because he's a bowler who can actually bowl you a ball which is going away from the left-hander, which the Indian team would have wanted. Very good team, balanced team, and with all its bases covered.
And going into this Asia Cup, I mean, all expectations, everyone expected Pakistan to reach the final. You're a stellar side. So now coming out of the Asia Cup and heading into a World Cup, couple of injuries looming. What are the questions, or have you got the kind of answers that you needed from this unit?
I don't know about the answers, but question to bring in a proper batter in that number 4, number 5 maybe. Rizwan is brilliant. I mean, he's got runs against Sri Lanka other day, 70, 80 odd. But on a long-term basis, people might don't like my opinion, but again...
We like your opinion.
Yeah, I never cared. But as far as, in my opinion, one they find the replacement for Naseem and Haris Rauf, I think things will be on the right track.
And that's what happens often when you find yourself in these situations that are troubling. You have your backs against the wall. That's when cage tigers truly do roar. So for both of these nations and for Team India in particular, heading into a World Cup, have you got more answers than questions? So Wasim Akram is going to help me get Sanjay Banga back into coach mode, having coached India in 2015, 2019 of World Cup campaigns where Wasim, you get like this checklist. Let's tick the boxes. So Sanjay, the checklist was players returning from injury. You'd be watching KL Rahul and Jasprit Bumrah. What are the side notes? Because I know you're very meticulous. The side notes you will put next to that check.
Well, whether he would have participated in the...
He looked supremely fit. His pace was there. He was swinging both ways, troubling both the batters, left-handers, right-handers, and bowling good yorkers. I think as far as Indian the pack is Jasprit.
Well, I mean, it's interesting that you bring in Washington Sundar because, as you know, Shreyas Iyer one game, then back spasms, was also returning from injury. Akshar Patel has been, ruled out of this match at least. Now, so close to a World Cup with these injuries cropping up again, are you looking at replacements? Because we had this in 2019, right? We had Shikhar Dhawan going out of the World Cup. You had to fly Rishabh Pant in. That was during a competition. So you've been through this, Sanjay.
Yeah, we've been through this, and fortunately for India, Washington is back. He's a like-for-like replacement. He can bowl in the first 10 overs, and the first game for India is crucial on the 8th of October because they're playing Australia, they're playing at Chennai, and that is a wicket wherein probably India would want to go with 3 spinners and...
Okay, so India's middle order, right? So KL and Ishan Kishan have both performed. You do have an option in Surya. You do have someone like Tilak, though he's not in the World Cup squad yet. What do you do with Shreyas Iyer if he's fit?
I suppose KL Rahul played. He played brilliantly. He came coming out of injury after so long, so happy. That would be my choice.
And that's just the way that things happen. Fortunes has a determination for all sorts of players when it comes to the world stage. It certainly had decided destiny on the day what would happen in 2011 when India faced off against Sri Lanka in that World Cup final at Mumbai. We look back at the memories from the day with 2 superstars.
Bit of a precautionary sort of mode that you get into. And you sometimes do well. As you said, they have bowled out teams in the past 13 games till the last one.
Well, I mean, as you mentioned previously, you spoke about having the resources, and Wasim has mentioned this on a couple of occasions. When you look at India's resources, you see the name of Kuldeep, and you've also put his performance ahead to the World Cup, saying that not just here, but watch out because he's going to be the game changer in the World Cup. What in his bowling, since his return from injury, his resurgence back in the one-day team, has impressed you the most to get him those results?
We're talking about him today?
Oh, yes, we are, Wasim, because you're here. I only strive to make you happy, Wasim.
Yeah, and I think Indian team too, and Indian fans as well. They should.
As mentioned, you've seen the change in him. Look, it's very exciting for us. We can take the pressure off ourselves when we go into a big final. The pressure is on these players, and there are many moments or many situations you can do that in Colombo. One is a must visit to Ministry of Crab, which of course has a Sri Lankan cricket connection. Y'all are not safe from predictions. When we asked you at the start of the Asia Cup, is this what you've expected, these two nations as finalists? What would you have said?
Truthfully, no. I thought it'll be India-Pakistan, but congratulations to Sri Lanka. Silva, all these spinners are there. Do you have another spinner in the squad who can come in?
Hemanta is there. It's a 12th man who always been on the field for the last couple of games. But I think, no, he's a leg spinner.
Marvin, couple of youngsters in this lineup. You've captained in an Asia Cup final. You understand the pressures on someone like Dasun Shanaka as well. One of the things, the underlining themes is don't underestimate Sri Lanka. They did it in the last Asia.
Unbelievable performance, and he's a match winner. He's in good nick. He's equally good against the spinners. I mean, brilliant.
Average close to 100 together, but if you put that pressure, then you have Virat Kohli to contend with, who averages over 100 on this grind, has already scored 100 here in the lead up to the final.
It's only 23,000 runs at the top, and then you have a double. I'm just thinking, throw the left-arm spinner for
with the new ball.
With the new ball,
straight away, you think?
Straight away. Send them a message that yes, we know. We want to play a mind game or two here. It may not work, but then you can always go back.
On in the Asia Cup, and Hardik Pandya also had to walk out to bat against Pakistan in a tough situation and show that sort of application, because every time he walks into the field, he carries with him that inner confidence, that swagger. The stages, it's a final, it's the Asia Cup final. That's where you essentially want to be a match winner as well and bring that aspect out of your game. We're going to slip into a breather here on Jindal Panther Cricket Live, powered by Amul, but just be wary, because out in the crowd here, the next generation are watching their heroes very, very closely for inspiration. Expected change PC should be happy with, because you know the leggy gets his day in the sun.
Well, as always, as cricketers, past cricketers, we always agree, runs on the board, especially in a final.
So two expected changes in that sense, because we heard about the injuries. Ravi Shastri out there, we've spoken a lot about the conditions. We know, Ravi, that it's a different pitch that's been laid out. We still expect it to spin, and from that perspective for Team India to get Washington Sundar into this final, how does that play out?
Well, it's Mayanti, pretty dry, the surface, so not surprised at all that India have been on winning the toss.
Thanks so much for that, Ravi. So 270 is quite a total if you manage to assimilate and get it on the board. PC, look at Team India, so they expect...
Ideally, and then they can put pressure on the strong Indian batting. Again, it's a final, it's a knockout, and if they get to 250 plus, just over 250, they can actually put pressure on the strong Indian side with a couple of wickets early on with the new ball. Early days, but again, like Ravi said, it's really a good toss to win on this pitch.
I mean, the battle between the game of margins is what would essentially could decide this. All that work has to happen in the dressing rooms with your coaches, your captains before you walk out there. So let's hear from the Indian coach. So speaking of the injuries, you had Washington Sundar, who flew in on Friday. He's playing straight up in an Asia Cup final. We've heard the conditions as well. How early would you bring spin into the attack, PC, with that offie option against left-handers as well?
Well, it totally depends. Like if you get wickets up front, so why not continue with the faster bowlers?
That's interesting, because with Tikshana, Sri Lanka are used to bringing spin early into the attack, but for their opening partnership, you're going to have to sustain the pressure of Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Siraj first up.
That's going to be...
and saying that, it's you're getting a slight cover, just as we say that as well.
That's bad news too. I mean, he'll get the ball to move much more, I think, with the power.
This pitch is going to move, Marwan. It's dry, bone dry.
Anyway, Bumrah is a threat by himself. Doesn't matter the conditions. He'll create that angle.
Yeah.
He'll come around the wicket soon to the left-hander, try and take the ball away towards the slips. If anything doesn't happen, coming over the wicket. So initial spell of Bumrah, I mean, that's for sure. And then they'll have the luxury of having Washington in this side, whom they can bring any time. Because he's
with Washington and Hardik Pandya both there, you have to see how Rohit Sharma will want to deploy those overs in the middle.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that difficult. I mean, Rohit is an experienced captain. He knows, but it won't be difficult for Rohit to handle his bowler in the mid overs. He's got so many options now: 3 spinners, 1, 2, 3 fast bowlers. So shouldn't be a problem.
No problems. We've been talking about problems of plenty, but from that perspective, you're in a final and you have to get through it. All the fun in games when you get to a final to really take the pressure off. Well, that is something that Virat Kohli is used to doing. Entertainment guaranteed, just as you get that when our analysts come here on Jindal Panther Cricket Live, powered by Amul. One of the big changes or the game changers that throughout this competition Wasim has been talking about is Kuldeep. And again, in a big final, his overs can be gold dust, PC.
Definitely on this kind of pitch, you really want your...
Is that one of the changes? Because you've also worked with a young Kuldeep.
Yeah, I have. I mean, that was a long time ago. He was really young. He's still young, but he was really like a little kid. He was so excited, all enough to be a fast bowler. So let's stick to spin and imagine he's representing his country. He's one of the main bowlers for this World Cup. And, hard work pays off. And this guy has been working very hard on the field.
So Sri Lanka, big toss to win, batting first. What application do you want to see, Marvin?
I want to see some reassessing work. Be thinking a bit over the top. You don't want to fall short by 70-80 runs going for that amount. But reassessing from time to time will get them at the end.
Familiar foes, India and Sri Lanka, they are two most successful sides in the history of this competition. It is a packed house. This is a crowd that has been waiting for a moment like this, for a final like this, and wait no longer, because when we come out, Sri Lanka will be out there batting in an Asia Cup final.
Let me tell you a story.
Thanks so much for joining us here on Jindal Panther Cricket Live, powered by Amul. Essentially, we wanted to see match action, but I think in Deep Das Gupta's words, this was a passing shower. The ground is completely covered in anticipation, or rather in preparation. But the thing is, with Sanjay Manjrekar and Marvin Atapattu,
for barter, you can take the bilateral, we'll take the ICC titles. Because we have winning too many bilaterals.
Or the multi-nation title.
ICC, actually, ICC, I'm just thinking whether India, for some reason, I don't know, you come to a stage where all of a sudden it's gone.
Ask him the question. Ask him the question.
He was there not out on that day. You were not out, right? At Calcutta, were you out?
Yeah, the check-up.
No.
We had a 90-run partnership actually. Who would have thought the match would be over so quickly?
Never thought I'd heard words from Sanjay Manjrekar. Like I started the slide in a very matter-of-fact, broadcaster way. That's why he knows he's an absolute gem in this part. But it's a different generation now, and they're playing an Asia Cup final. And the tables have obviously turned, because you look at this Indian team. So you've got Washington Sundar into this side now. He's literally come in straight. On Friday, he flew in. He was at Bangalore. He was at the NCA, and he's come in because Akshar Patel is not long.
Is that Washington Sundar's bowling will come under the scanner a lot, in the sense that the selector, the team management will be watching it very closely, because there's another off-spinner back home who's played more international cricket than him, is also coming into the plans slowly. I'm hearing that he...
Well, honestly, we're seeing you a lot earlier than expected. These were not the circumstances either, but that's the way things are. Jindal Panther Cricket Live, powered by Amul, Ravi Shastri, Marvin Atapattu and Wasim Akram. But the day, all of you just spine in. Mohammad Siraj, at the moment, that performance, that one over that took 4. Ravi.
Unbelievable. And and I think where he's matured is his understanding of his own bowling and the lengths he has to bowl. Every time he got the ball further up, he got it to do a bit of the...
And Wasim, look at our thumbs up to Fani deliveries. We're talking about the evolution of a player like Mohammad Siraj. His exploits in Test cricket and the rules that he follows, that was a Test field.
It definitely was a Test field, and it was definitely wasn't a dodgy wicket at all.
And Marvin, you look back on the wickets, you see the ruthlessness from Rohit Sharma as a captain, continuing with Mohammad Siraj, making sure he bowls most of his spell right up. But why was he so challenging to play from Sri Lanka's perspective?
Simply the lengths. line length. We spoke about it.
If you have a look at his, he ran after that boundary saying, don't give away those runs against my bowling.
The adrenaline was pumping, and when that happens, you feel you want to do a Sharjah against Sri Lanka. I think Muthaiya Muralidharan got a lot of wickets. So, it's just one of those days, Sri Lanka didn't help themselves in any way. Some very, very loose shots, but having it to go. But if Percy was here today, and if I had to see him now, no, long. It's down, quick way to go.
Yeah, you can imagine. But look at this, Ravi. They're all still on their feet. The band is still going. That shows you the love that you have for a national team. It's still a final.
I agree. I mean, look at the support. It's a pack house, and they're still here, knowing that India need 51 to win in about 50 overs with 10 wickets in hand. But that shows how much they love their team, and I think that's where Sri Lankan team should realize they have the talent, yes, but situation awareness, game awareness, coach can't teach you. That's your own job once you're on their batting. Realizing 3 wickets are down, 2 wickets are down, let's block with soft hands. Block everything, see off the new ball. If there's a partnership going, we'll get to 140, 150. At least we have something to defend. But 51 is not, they can't, nobody can defend. It's just islanders. The proper batters played some silly shots, unfortunately.
Wasim mentioned earlier the fielding also from India's perspective. Nerolak, Surf Excel super saves, You saw that. You saw the ruthlessness in the way that Rohit set his fields, and you can displace.
From a Sri Lanka's perspective, you just have to play it down. We call up fast bowlers sometimes chocolate biscuits because they look good. Like him, not like him. He was a chocolate biscuit when the ball was old too. but the thing...
And Margon, you were both top players, batters. So situations like, say, you were an opener, you were a middle order as well, as an opener as well. So 3 wickets down, the ball is seeming and swinging 50 over. What would you do?
I think the first thing is know where your off stump is.
Yeah.
And be prepared to leave deliveries. You got to give respect to the bowlers.
That came and got the 2 wickets. That's a different story. But the informed bowler, you can see him off by playing straight.
Again, what they teach you in Test cricket, put a price on your wicket. All these things come through. It is a final. At the end of the day, you're fighting for Asian pride. We'll take a breather. We'll talk about India's chase. So 51 is what they would need in this final. We'll be back. That it could be, it could be easily done from that perspective, but just what Mohammad Siraj has pulled off today, how he made himself unplayable. We will be talking about this innings, that bowling performance for a long time to come.
You very rarely see bowling like this in ODI, especially on a pitch like this. He was meant to turn apparently. Spera, I think, got behind, and then after that there was no looking back, and he was swinging and bit of bounce as well. It wasn't unplayable, but they bowled at the right areas, right lengths, and Sri Lankan batters helped their cause as well, the way they played some...
The ruthlessness, in a sense, from Rohit Sharma continuing with him, that's it. You expect that in the chase now, because it's just 51.
No, do you think Rohit had any chance of taking the ball off Siraj's hands when he's taking wickets like that? And by the way, I said at the pitch report, I said it never hit down in those 7-8 overs. So a remarkable spell, and it'll do his confidence only a world of good. And I think the most positive thing to come out of that performance was the Indian bowling unit, the way they complemented each other. They kept the pressure on the Sri Lankan batsman. Bumrah took a wicket in his first over. Siraj was complimenting him well, and when Bumrah took a break, Hardik came and finished things off. So, fabulous performance.
51 to win the 8th. Dominance by India, disarray for Sri Lanka. There could be many adjectives to describe the superlative final that we have had today. Jindal Panther Cricket Live powered by Amul with Marvin Atapattu, Wasim Akram and Piyush Chawla. But for Team India, the men in blue get the 8th title. Rohit Sharma leading from the charge. The bowlers doing all the hard work. And finals like this, PC, they don't really come around very often. Where, as you heard KL Rahul saying, the dominance is by the bowlers. They take away all the...
Every shot in the book, and missed every shot in the book too.
Well, you mentioned full house. It's a day to forget for Sri Lanka, especially after...
If this was India-Pakistan's game, either Pakistan playing Sri Lanka, whoever it may be, if the India was out for 50 or Pakistan were out for 51, the crowd would have gone home. They love their team, sure, but they don't have the patience. But this crowd, they're still there. 3/4 of our stadium is still there. I think they realize, okay, it's a young...
And this crowd, PC, was also applauding every single wicket of Mohammad Siraj. Yes, you saw some disappointed faces, but a performance like that. I was talking to Wasim about, the test match lengths in the sense that he's bowled or implemented. You look at his release points. What was your takeaway?
After that passion of the crowd of Sri Lanka.
Wasim, you were mentioning.
Yeah, I would like to see that clip again if possible. I can explain it to people that what Siraj did today. Look at this ball, the same outswing to the right hander. He got a couple of wickets on that delivery. So well done to Siraj.
Marvin, from India's perspective, heading into the World Cup, where you're talking about subcontinental tracks, you obviously expect spin and spinners to dominate in terms of the specialists. So Hardik Pandya's ability to fill in and bowl those overs, especially what we saw today.
Often, Mayanti, we have seen India with Indian teams. This is my experience. They have batters.
PC, you were mentioning as well how Jasprit Bumrah got things started. We as fans were eagerly, literally watching and deciphering every delivery of his. You saw how he was extracting a little bit of swing as well with that action.
That's the beauty of Jasprit Bumrah's bowling with the new ball, and he's getting you breakthrough. So it sets up some good tone for the spinners to come in and bowl.
Well, I mean, it wasn't just the bowling that you were analysing, but you were also analysing the batters from the perspective of the young generation. You look back at Shubman Gill in the year that he's had over 1,500 runs.
Feet against the spinner. You'll not see a lot of openers the way they use their feet, but he steps out really quickly, and which make life difficult for the spinners to bowl to him.
Despite being a tall man, that's something I was asking Matthew Hayden as well in terms of the application. You look at some of the leading run getters. Marvin, we heard KL just after in the post-presentation speaking about suddenly coming in from Bangalore straight here in the middle of a tournament under pressure in the sense because you haven't played for 6 months, and he was so satisfied saying that my role heading into the World Cup is going to be taking on spinners, is forging that partnerships, and honestly that's what everyone wanted to see from him, the class from KL.
We all know what KL is capable of, rather. But walking into a big tournament, to live up to that is not the easiest thing in the world. As a batsman, you have got only one chance. One small mistake, you're back in the pavilion. So for him to come and score the 100 that he scored against Pakistan, where most of us rated the best 100 in tournament, and to build a partnership against with Virat, and to take the game away having scored 350 it has to be someone special, and KL is someone special in this side.
And re-establish that he will be the wicket-keeper. He's the first choice. That's what the team want from him heading into the World Cup as well. So many of the boxes that have been ticked for Team India heading into this World Cup. But from the Asia Cup with their 8th title, with team performances along with individual brilliance, let's look back at the best moments from the men in blue. That really is one of the talking points. In fact, a lot of teams right now playing cricket leading into World Cup. There have been a couple of injuries back-to-back. Tikshana, for example, for Sri Lanka wasn't playing today. Akshar Patel wasn't playing. Washington Sundar flown in straight away into a final. But PC, when you look at that, Shreyas Iyer was back in the nets, presumably having recovered from that back spasm, but going ahead into a World Cup, you're not sure about Akshar. You can't change the squad. I mean, what do? Do you bring in a Washington? Will Shreyas get choice in the first 11? What would you do? What would Piyush Chawla do?
Well, you need the 6 bowling option, and definitely on this kind, you need to look at the balance, and because of Washington Sundar, it looked perfect.
There are a couple of players, there's a one-day series against Australia before the World Cup that you might want to try again. For example, Mohammad Shami wasn't always first pick. Surya Kumar Yadav may be another opportunity. We don't know. We don't have an update on Akshar, so is Washington. I mean, there are a couple of areas you still want to, in a sense, analyse.
And then mind you, India also have 2 practice games as well before the World Cup. So they have all these guys. Shami can have...
What makes sense for you, Wasim? Huh? What makes sense for you, Wasim? Who are the players you want to identify?
I would like to play at least out of 2 games, Bumrah should against Australia.
So Marvin, before the start of this Asia Cup, Shreyas Iyer's average against spin in one-dayers was 80, averaging close in the 40s, batting at number 4. You've tried KL and Ishan Kishan in the middle order, and they seem to be set. What happens to Shreyas Iyer? Are you playing him in those one-dayers? Are you playing him in the World Cup?
And as Wasim said, the 2 practice matches. Obviously, you got to see whom you want to rest, kind of. It could be your fast bowlers. You want to have that and get 11 players on a field, not just to win, but keeping the World Cup in mind.
So let's have a little fun, because Sanjay Manjrekar likes to create these sort of headlines, and he did it in the show. So if you can fly in a Washington Sundar for the World Cup, what about Ravichandran Ashwin? Would you do it, please?
Well, there was a discussion.
Good.
And PC, having a look at the schedule and the venues that you're playing with, so I mean, going back to the options, because we know that there are quite a few options as well. Is it you, Australia, South Africa, Australia, India's first opponents are playing a blinder against South Africa right now in the decider, chasing 300 plus with the resumption at the game after the presentation that we're waiting for. So everyone around the world right now is playing their matches with intensity, keeping totals and keeping scores on who's doing what, and unfortunately who's getting injured at what stage, which is not the conversations you want to be happening essentially ahead of a World Cup, but we will get you that right after the presentation. Any areas in that sense, because I'd like to get your thoughts as well in terms of specialists. Would you be putting in your specialists, or how important is batting depth to you when you're looking at players like Shardul and Aksar to be batting at number 7? Because remember, you do have a Ravindra Jadeja as well, and you have a Hardik Pandya.
See, I'm a great believer in unless you have somebody at the top given the license to go after the bowling, like what we had back in the
PC, I'd love to get your thoughts, because when we first saw you playing for India, you virtually looked the same. I mean, but you've seen these different generations where you had those batters who could bowl and you could utilize them in this format. And now with the advent of T20s, you do have focus on specialists. So this younger generation, the bowlers particularly, what is communicated to them in terms of your batting prowess?
Well, batting, you have to keep it very simple. We have seen till number 7.
So you rather have your specialist bowlers? Because I know you go and practice a little bit of batting in the nets. And in domestic cricket, because he's captain, he goes at number 3 and 4 sometimes.
Captains can do anything, isn't it?
Well, I'm putting myself ahead for the team.
Yeah, why not?
All right, but listen, today was a day that really did, belong to the bowlers. It belonged to Mohammad Siraj. He will not forget figures like this, that too in a final of an Asia Cup where India have captured their 8th title. But this Asia Cup has given us so many moments when it comes to youngsters who've taken their opportunities, players returning from injuries who've taken their opportunities, and some of the best batters just showing their form ahead of a World Cup. There have been some dominant performances with the bat. I mean, absolutely sublime, and just the kind of form you want when you're heading into the World Cup. India have won their 8th Asia Cup. Here we await the presentation. We'll join you in just a bit. Stay with us. Well, there you go. So India winning what would be their 8th title, and in extraordinary circumstances. You don't get matches like this very, very often. For Mohammad Siraj to remember a spell like this, leading straight into a World Cup. For Rohit Sharma to get himself another trophy as captain in terms of his capacity. There's a lot of takeaways for Team India as they win their 8th title and continue their dominance in the Asia Cup. Here with Wasim Akram, Ravi Shastri, Shaz and Raz reunited. All these moments.
Rohit at the presentation, most boxes have been ticked, and he agreed. Because when you look at that bowling department now, everyone's had a run in. Fast bowlers have done an outstanding job. Spinners have done an outstanding job. Kuldeep has come of age. He got the man of the series. So that will make his confidence will go sky high with that performance. And the batting. If you look at the batting, it has a settled look to it now. Gill seems to be hungry. What I like is he starts every inning afresh. He takes his time and he believes in consistency. He leaves the previous innings behind, comes, starts afresh, and then gets the runs again. And then you've got Rohit amongst the runs. You've got Ishan Kishan, who's had a good hit. Rahul has come into form. Virat is getting runs. So it's a terrific side. And even that addition of Washington Sundar, I thought in case Akshar Patel.
What is the message that Team India have sent with this victory heading into a World Cup?
I suppose, like I said early on, the message is clear. We are there. It'll be tough and it'll be interesting to watch.
And I missed out on KL Rahul, because the test for him was not just his batting, his keeping.
Yes.
He withstood that test. When you come back from injury, all these things are watched.
Well, there you go. Those are words that we can end on. Gentlemen, thank you so much for keeping us company throughout this Asia Cup with all of your insights and all of you as well. With the cricket action continues on the Star Sports Network. Australia in a decider up against South Africa, chasing 350. Let's see what happens. We'll see you next time.